Okay, so in our last class, we were talking about life functions, and we mentioned the 8 characteristics or 8 things that one's supposed to have in order to be alive. And we kind of focus our lab on the life function of excretion, where someone or substance X give out carbon dioxide. So at this point, all of you should know that most living organisms, they excrete or get rid of carbon dioxide from our body. One thing that we do need, however, is that we need oxygen. And we take oxygen in by breathing it in. Now, these are gases. And what we normally use to represent them is that we use symbols because it's easier in science. So carbon dioxide is written as CO2 and oxygen is written as O2. All right? So oxygen is needed, carbon dioxide is not needed. So let's start this lesson by looking at where exactly is oxygen coming from, where oxygen is going and where carbon dioxide is coming from. When we breathe in oxygen, it enters through our nostrils. It goes through our trachea and into our lungs. This here makes up the respiratory system. The respiratory system, that's all its function, basically, is to have a place where oxygen could enter our body. Now, oxygen is in our body, it's in our lungs. What happens next is that another system helps out, and that is the circulatory system. And the circulatory system is made up of our heart. It's made up of a number of veins and arteries running through our bodies, and also it is made up of blood. So the oxygen enters our arteries, and our heart kind of pumps it and spread it all through our body so that every single cell can have a supply of oxygen. So from our system and our organs, it moves down to our tissues. From our tissues, because our tissues are made up of groups of cells, it goes to our cells. And the final destination is that it goes straight to an organelle called the mitochondria. So if one is to trace the pathway of oxygen, we can say our respiratory system takes it in, our circulatory system disperses or dispenses of all the oxygen to each tissues. It goes from the tissues into our cells, and from our cells, it goes into the mitochondria, which is located inside of the cells. And that is the pathway of oxygen. We will now look at what happens to that oxygen and where is it that carbon dioxide is coming from. So in our mitochondria, a very important life function happens, and that is the ability of an organism to release energy from food. So this process is called respiration, respiration. And respiration, or cellular respiration, occurs within the mitochondria of our cells. So in this mitochondria, we have oxygen, which is O2. Now I'll just write the name. Oxygen, and we'll use a plus sign to say that it's combines. So oxygen combines with something else that we take in, and that is food. We as living organisms, we take in food and we combine it with oxygen. So food, and the food that we are going to use in this explanation, is glucose. And since we're using letters to represent, or chemical formulas to represent whatever we're talking about, we're going to write glucose as C6H12O6. So far we have oxygen combining with glucose, and that gives us something. To use what it gives out, we use a forward arrow. It gives carbon dioxide, CO2, plus H2O, which is water. So this is carbon dioxide and water. But the whole purpose of respiration is not only to break up or combine oxygen and glucose. The whole purpose of respiration is to release energy. So another thing that comes out of this experiment, or sorry, not this experiment, but this reaction is energy in the form of ATP. So this kind of continues over there. So this is called the chemical formula and also the word formula for respiration. If we want to use the chemical formula alone, but this chemical formula is not correct as it stands, because as we know in your math class, you should know that in a reaction or in an equation, everything on the left side must equal to everything on the right. And right now we have, on this side we have 1 carbon, and over here we have 6. So to make the carbon equal, we have to add another 6 over there. Same thing for oxygen. We have 6 2s 12, oxygen here. We have only 2 here, we add another 6 there, and then we have a 6 there. So this is the correct formula. We have 6 oxygen plus 1 molecule of glucose will give you 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water, and also ATP and energy. All of this reaction, it happens there in our mitochondria. Let me give you a kind of a cleaner formula to look at. So this is much better and much neater than what I was writing. So as you can see, we have glucose plus oxygen will give you carbon dioxide plus water and energy. The symbol for glucose, or the chemical formula for glucose, is C6H12O6 plus oxygen. We need 6 oxygen to give you 6 carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water. Everything you count over on this side of the equation should equal to everything that you have on the opposite side. For your exams, or at this level, what I want you to know, first of all, I need you to know that glucose plus oxygen will give you carbon dioxide and water and energy. And all of this happens in the mitochondria. That's the first thing you need to know. If by chance you want to increase your knowledge and kind of be a little bit above the average, you should then try to memorize this chemical formula. Since you have no background of chemistry, I am not going to pressure you to remember the formula. And also ATP, or energy, is produced. The whole purpose of this reaction basically is to get energy from the food that we're eating and the oxygen that we're breathing in. So now you know, where is it that you get carbon dioxide from? You get carbon dioxide from combining glucose and oxygen. And then if we go back through our image at the beginning and we trace the pathway of carbon dioxide, because we're breathing carbon dioxide out, it comes from our mitochondria of our cells. Then from our cells it passes through tissues. The circulatory system, which made up of the heart and all of those tubes and blood, kind of carries the oxygen straight to our lungs, and then from our lungs it is passed out. CO2 is given out.